Well, I looked at my canvas for a while and decided that rather than a 16 by 20, I'd like to make it a vertical. So now it's a 20 by 16. It took a bit of work. I had to take it off the easel and take it apart, of course. You know, take the canvas off, and then take apart the stretcher bars, rebuild the stretcher bars as a 20 by 16, and then re-stretch the canvas. But I think we're good to go now. Thankfully, I'm a handy guy and smart. So everything that I just said, well, not everything, but much of what I just said was that I like to keep things calmed down until I build them up, value and chroma wise. But I did say there are exceptions. This will be one of them. For the most part, I'm going to keep things calm. My plan with this painting is to sort of be looking down at a path, although it's not going to be a very distinct path. It's going to be a clear area that you can walk through the trees and over a hill, and then, you know, I might show a little bit of sky in the background. These lines that I have in here, I haven't drawn them to indicate you know, each side of a trunk of a tree trunk. Rather, I've sort of just laid these lines in there, intending for each of them to be a tree trunk. So more or less down the center of each trunk, you know. I had intended on using a knife to start with. Now I'm thinking I might just design this thing with little dabs of color all over the place. It's not going to be pointillism, but it'll have similarities to it, at least to begin with. I'm not going to start with my cadmiums. I'm going to start with yellow ochre, burnt sienna. Well, I think I'm gonna start with just laying a few bits of sky in here. So I'll probably use some cobalt, ultramarine blue, bit of white. I'm not washing in my scene. I'm going to go directly to paint. Might thin it off with a bit of terps. Might use oil now and then. I'm not sure. For the most part, I'm not, though. I'm going straight to paint. But even if I use some of my cadmiums, some of the cadmiums that I have in the initial building of the design, I'm still going to keep them toned down and reserve the highlights for, well, for once I'm confident in an area, you know, that I can make it sparkle. So yeah, so I'm just going to start with things toned down a little bit. It'll be yellow ochre for the yellows. Blah blah blah. I don't even know why I'm talking. Well, let's see here. Let me start with a little bit of yellow ochre, burnt sienna, a little bit of yellow ochre, or a little bit of cad yellow pale actually. Won't put too much out just yet. And also a little bit of this. What is this called? Cad Yellow Deep. It's an old tube of talons that I have. But I really like the color, and I really like the way it mixes with the Cad Yellow Pale that I have. So, I'll just put a little bit of that out as well. So yeah, here I am, not starting with cadmiums. Well, I am, but they're watered down, eh? rather the chroma has been reduced. Because I don't want my highlights too bright just yet. So I guess I'll be painting my trees. I'll be painting my tree trunks by painting around them. Gonna have to rearrange your thinking a little bit when you do it like this. It's okay, I'm up to the challenge, it's kind of fun. Well, I think my tint is a little bit wetter than I expected it to be. Oops. I don't want this branch to line up with this one. I always kind of like to stagger them a little bit. Keep things looking a little looser. Okay, probably have some foliage coming in from the top. This tree reaching across a little bit, and then there will be some here and there on various trunks. I don't want a completely dark canopy across the top. Okay, let's grab some of that cad yellow pale. A little bit of white in there. I would like this to be a little brighter. Yeah, I'll have some greenery. I think right around there. Okay. And that's a bit of a distant tree. So, we have a skinnier trunk. Yeah. The stain isn't very dry, so I'm picking it up as I'm laying fresh paint on. Not too fond of that, but it'll do. It'll be okay. Well, if I have to, I'll just have to leave it a little longer. Maybe what I'll do, because this is just kind of time consuming and I don't know if there's too much for me to say right now, I'll just speed it up a little bit here. Well, I was going to carry on with this more, but I am picking up a lot of my tint and I don't like that. It's kind of muddying up my colors. So maybe I'll just put a few more strokes on and we'll leave it at that for the moment. Everything's getting a pretty washed out look because that tint is coming through. Now, this is going to be a painting with some layering on it, but I would still like the first strokes to be a little stronger than this. And I got too much junk in my brush here. Cad yellow there, and just add a little bit of alizarin crimson to it. A little more. Using a pretty new brush here. Yeah, I'm not too crazy about what's going on here. Trying to get a design, trying to bear in mind what I'm up to. Because I'm not just painting the trunks, I have to remember what kind of bits of foliage are coming from them as well, you know, are in there. So I'm trying to remember that as I go. I'm going to yellow ochre now and alizarin crimson. That trunk, I think, is pretty much ending right there. And so if we have a branch there coming off of this tree, and it may be in front of the trunk, it may be behind it, maybe a bit of both. That thankfully is something I don't have to worry about just yet. Okay. Now we don't want too big an area of just plain alizarin crimson and yellow ochre. Let's put a little bit of orange in there as well. Yeah. I'm going to hold off on this. I'll let it, I'll set it in front of the, or I'll set it over the gas fireplace maybe for a while. And then try again. And I may have to add a little bit of oil to it. You know, because this is still, the truth of the canvas is picking up the color, but it is mixing with the tint that I put on there. I really would have been better off just taking straight raw umber and washing it in, because that would have been completely dry today. Okay, well, till next time. Well, you know, I don't just want to stop painting. So there is another way of getting around this not quite dry stain, and that is by switching from this brush to this brush. This brush is made of steel and it's much flatter, but it'll work. It'll work. And I can get the intensity that I want. You know, as I'd mentioned, although I don't usually recommend it, because I kind of know where I want my stuff, I will sometimes just go in with strength right away. That's what I'm going to do, and I'm not going to worry about these little branches. They can be moved in later. There, at least we're covering some ground now. Okay, now I'm going to move away from the cads, going to yellow ochre and a bit of white and a touch of alizarin crimson. Friendly old alizarin crimson. It's always nice to use, nice to play with. And it makes for a good introduction going down into here. I don't think I want that line there separating the background from the foreground. I think I would like the painting to be a little bit looser and provide a bit more of a mishmash of stuff. More stuff open to suggestion rather than dictating where everything sits, you know? That trunk will come down to about there. Okay. Oh, that's pretty white. There may very well be spots that I have to revisit later, and later is when we'll worry about it. come to the foreground, we're going to go back into our purples again. Foreground's going to be darker. We don't want too much strength here. That might be a bit, well, you know, gets toned down more here, but it's okay if there's a bit of design here and there, indicating that. Okay, foliage will be going like this in general. I think it's okay to have a bit of a dip down here, something along those lines. Yeah. A little bit of ultramarine blue in there as well. Well, this is way more fun than playing with a little brush, fiddling around amongst the branches. Okay, I'm going to go into something a little more greenish. Let's try some yellow ochre and a bit of ultramarine blue for a stroke or two. Oh, that's a bit strong. Throw a little bit of white in there with it. I do want to obliterate my brush strokes, because I don't want somebody to look at the painting and see all these nice strokes and then go, hey, there's all these brush strokes mixed in with them. What's going on there? Consistency of technique. There's something to be said for it. Well, now I'm kind of committing to getting this, at least the bulk of the painting, finished today. But I know this will be a short video, but I'm just going to upload it. That way at least I've given you something for the day. And then, as usual, if things go well and I end up being able to work into the evening, then I might be able to put another fresh video up for you on Sunday. Or I'll publish it on Sunday if the painting goes well tonight. How is that? Yeah, it's okay. A little light up there, that's probably no harm in that. Oops. Being pretty generous there. That blue sky, that's just looking way too much like a cartoon. I can let a little bit poke through, or I can add some in later. But at the moment, it's not really what I want. A little bit of burnt sienna to that mix. Okay. Not a very impressive start. Not very impressed at all with that. Thankfully, we can change those things. Go back to a cad yellow pale and a little bit of burnt sienna. And bring our colors up a little higher. Boy, now I'm really working in wet paint. Maybe I'm metaphorically painting myself into a corner here. Maybe. Well, maybe not. Just have to keep plugging at it. Forge ahead. Fight on the beaches. And all that stuff. Painting may just end up being very impassive. And thus, very impressionistic. Change our color here. Let's just try a little bit of burnt sienna. No, I'm still going to put a little yellow ochre in that. Oops. Screwed up. I want that trunk to come to about there. There. About there. Let's see if I can remember that. Okay, switching knives. Going from my little diamond shaped dealie here to a more elongated one with the rounder tip. We're going to go to yellow ochre and ultramarine blue and a little bit of red sienna. Get some greenish stuff in here. Okay. Why do I feel like I'm plummeting over a cliff? I think this painting is getting worse every time I touch it. Well, we'll just play with it anyway, you know? If by the time I'm actually done tonight, it looks terrible, I'll just scrape it, clean it off, and pretend it's an entirely different canvas next week when I start it again. That is a skinny tree. Just do away with that completely. Reinstalling a bit of a line back there. Looks like. Oh, let's back up and have a look at this. That could go either way. It could go either way. Anyway, I'll get this uploaded, so at least you have something to make fun of me for today's efforts. See you later, guys.